A chocolate dream starts with poverty and a promise. Young Willy Wonka arrives in a storybook European city with a suitcase full of inventions, a hat full of schemes, and one vow left over from his mother: open a shop where anyone can taste wonder. He isn't famous yet, he's hopeful. That's enough to make him dangerous to people who profit from scarcity. The city runs on confection and corruption. Three grand chocolatiers, Slugworth, Prodnose, and Fickelgruber, operate as a cartel, fixing prices and bribing officials to keep competition extinct. Their favorite enforcer is the chief of police, whose chocolate habit is both leverage and running gag. Their most pious ally is a monastery whose chocolate-loving abbot would rather confiscate miracles than bless them. Into this machinery wanders a magician inventor whose sweets make the impossible wearable. Bonbons that float singers toward the rafters, truffles that sharpen memory, bars that taste like a happier day. Willy's first day is triumph wrapped in naivete. He gives out samples inside the city's luxury arcade and draws a crowd the cartel can't ignore. He also signs a boarding house contract he doesn't read. Mrs. Screwbit and her lug bleacher run a debtor's trap with fine print sharp enough to skin a dreamer: room, board, and hidden fees for everything from breathing to thinking. By sundown, Willy owes a fortune, and his rent requires indentured labor in Screwbit's underground laundry. His talent is immediately seized as collateral. Every chocolate he makes now legally belongs to Screwbit. Down in the Suds, he finds a crew of other guests similarly captured: the earnest accountant Abacus Crunch, the weary comedian turned plumber Piper Bentz, the operatic telephone operator Lottie Bell, and others who remind us that exploitation wears a lot of costumes. Among them is Noodle, a sharp, guarded orphan who can read the microscopic clauses that ruin them all. She becomes Willy's tether and co-conspirator. Where he sees the world as a stage, she sees the trapdoors. Together they begin cataloging their enemies, habits, and their buildings' hidden exits. At night, a new thief visits: a tiny orange-skinned, green-haired figure with an implacable grudge. He's an Oompa Loompa named Lofty, and he claims Willy stole a precious cocoa bean from Loompaland. The theft put Willy on a prankster deity's naughty list. Lofty sneaks into any room where chocolate sleeps and steals back interest on the debt. The scenes play like a heist and a fable at once: Willy's ingenuity v. Lofty's ancestral patience. What begins as petty larceny becomes negotiation. Willy returns what was taken, Lofty keeps stealing until he doesn't, and a wary, very funny détente forms between inventor and auditor. Willy refuses to surrender his dream to paperwork. With Noodle's help and Screwbit temporarily distracted, he takes his sweets to the streets, pop-up shops that elude the cartel's spies, a tasting in a zoo that ends with a giraffe freed from a headache via peppermint vapor, and after-hours choir practice whose hoverchalks turn hymns into low Earth orbit. Each success draws allies and accelerates retaliation. The cartel leans on the police chief for raids, the abbot thunders about heresy by Ganache, Screwbit pads bills with fees you can practically hear giggle. The movie keeps the stakes human. Willy isn't trying to win an economic war, he's trying to honor a mother who taught him recipes as a form of hope. Flashbacks are warm and quick: a kitchen lit by candlelight, a promise tucked into a scarf, a last shared bar saved for a long day. That vow, shared delight, don't hoard it, reframes the plot whenever spectacle threatens to swallow it. Noodle's arc runs parallel. She begins with the resigned calculus of someone who has never been chosen and slowly grows into a partner who expects good things to be possible. When the cartel can't out-invent Willy, it outlaws him. Permits vanish, doors close. A health inspection becomes an auction for his equipment. Worst of all, Screwbit tightens the chain: if Willy keeps working off his debt, he'll be doing it until wonder itself goes out of style. That's when Lofty returns with a different offer: intelligence. He knows where the cartel hides its bribes and how the police chief's appetite can be turned into evidence. He still insists on settling the bean ledger, but his real grievance has shifted. What the cartel steals from the city is bigger than a seed. Plans multiply like sugar crystals. Noodle scouts routes through the laundry tunnels. Abacus fakes the kind of bookkeeping only a crook would believe. Piper preps pipes. Lottie rehearses the distraction to end all distractions. Willy, in showman mode, stages one more illegal pop-up, a splashy tasting that lures the city's elite and every enemy into predictable places. The sequence is a confectionery caper: floating choirs, misdirected officers, chocolate coins that are trackers, and confections that taste like confession. The cartel attempts its masterstroke: kidnap Noodle and force Willy to sign away whatever future he hasn't already forfeited. It doesn't land. He's not the only one who learned to read the fine print. Using the tunnels, the misfit crew crashes the cartel's plan at the very moment a cathedral ceremony uptown turns into a sugar-fueled panic. The truth spills faster than melted couverture. The police chief, bribed beyond his belt's patience, eats a batch of truffles designed to make lies itch. His public confession pulls at threads the cartel can't hide. Screwbit is exposed as slaver by contract. The abbot's stash is discovered with comic sanctimony. And when the crowd realizes the criminal has been giving away joy while the pillars of the community stole it, the city's mood changes flavor. Victory isn't a switch, it's a recipe. Debts are forgiven, but books still need balancing. Willy uses the little money he saved, plus a windfall from rewards the police would rather not discuss, to buy his friends out of Screwbit's ledger. He refuses to let success be solitary. The laundry becomes a kitchen. The kitchen becomes a workshop. The workshop becomes a dream scaled up. A chocolate factory whose pipes sing like organs and whose floor plan is less a blueprint than a bedtime story for the public. Noodle finally learns her own origin. The cartel didn't just steal her labor, it stole her name. She isn't a nobody, she's the child of someone who fought the chocolatiers long before Willy arrived and paid for it. The revelation isn't melodrama, it's fuel. She chooses a family that chooses her back. Willy and the laundry crew then chooses a mission. Make sure the city never forgets how quickly delight can be privatized by bullies with licenses. Lofty, true to his tribe, negotiates terms rather than applause. He will work with Willy as taster, auditor, and occasional conscience. In exchange, Loomplaland receives tribute, respect, and a say in how cocoa is sourced. The Oompa Loompa songs arrive not as punishment but as commentary, sharp, rhyming audits of human folly. Willy takes the notes with grace. It turns out the best safeguard against becoming a tyrant is a friend who holds you to your own standards with a smile you can't bribe. The final movement isn't a coronation, it's an opening. Light pours through stained glass into vats. Conveyor belts carry bars with recipes written in memory and mischief. Workers who were once prisoners collect wages and recipes. The city lines up not because demand was engineered but because generosity is finally in charge of supply. Willy stands where he once dreamed, at the threshold of a factory that feels like a promise kept. He unwraps a single bar and breaks it in two, half for the mother he can't share it with, half for the family he can. Wonka ends with the same idea it began with, simply made richer. Magic is a craft, not a miracle, and joy grows best in common. If the cartel's world said sweetness belongs to the few, Willy's factory says it belongs to the curious, the kind, and the brave. Somewhere in the rafters, Lofty clears his throat for another verse. Down on the floor, Noodle flips the open sign. The city inhales, and for a rare moment everyone tastes the same good thing.